Welcome back to the Players Tour Finals, friends. I am Eli Loveman alongside Corey Baumaster, and we are super duper excited to be bringing you the very first round of action here between Will Craddock and Eli Loveman, Players Tour Online #3 winner and Mythic Championship 2 winner from London. So, Corey, this is going to be an excellent matchup. I'm excited. Are you?
Oh, yeah. I am super excited. You know, I mean, we'll save the Growth Spiral Mirrors, I guess, for a little bit later. Mono Green has a soft spot in my heart, too, so I'm really pumped for this match.
Me too. I am so looking forward to this. I love that we have John Sacrifice versus Mono Green, but I have to ask you, who do you favor in this matchup? Because both of these players are kind of like, okay, Team of Reclamation is the big bad in inverted commas this weekend. So are they prepared for this matchup? Like, who would you favor in this situation?
You know, I think it's really close here because it all really comes down to like Claim the Firstborn and how often that is drawn by our John Sacrifice player. And there is 3 in the main deck, so I mean, that is a very good thing. I tend to like the matchup from the Mono Green side when I was playing it, but it really is so very close. It could go either way. So Mono Green by just a little bit.
All right, well, we are ready to rock and roll. So without further ado, friends all around the world, let's jump into this very first matchup. It is Will Craddock versus Eli Loveman. Mono Green aggro, John Sacrifice, let's go. Taking a look at this opening hand here.
Go indeed.
This opening hand's not exactly what you want to see. Yeah, gonna keep it though.
No.
Will Craddock feels quite happy with that.
Yeah, a nice reluctant keep there, it seems, because, I mean, Bolas' Citadel is not exactly what you love against the Gem Razor quick, aggressive deck, but not too bad.
On Loveman's side, though, he's got a turn on Pelt Collector, and we were actually joking yesterday about, you know, if you have turn on Pelt Collector, you win. Is that the case here?
Yeah, the game's over. Yeah, game's absolutely over. Unfortunately, for Eli Loveman, there is no follow-up, but next turn, a Yorvo into either one of those very powerful 4-drops here, and we got a great board state here. There's that Stone Servant,
yeah.
A little late there, huh?
It's all right. He can boogie with the best of them. You know, that card's pretty good. It's like a flex slot. You know, it can be either a 1-drop if you need it, or it can be a 10 or a powerful 10/10 on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So thankfully, Yorvo is at the party here. Didn't get punished for that mobilized district in hand, which you actually pointed out earlier. Like, wow, that's brave playing a mobilized district with Yorvo too. 3 green pips. Oof.
Yeah, I'm looking at Eli Loveman's list right now, and having 3 Yorvos with 2 mobilized district is about as greedy as you can go with this deck, in my opinion. But honestly, mobilized district was one of the best cards for me, and I almost wanted to play a 3rd when I was playing it, but it is just too rough with all the very mana-intensive green cards here.
Yeah. So Will's in the tank here already, just deciding how he wants to approach this next turn. He's got the Fabled Passage, which he can crack to get Witch's Oven down. Decides not to. What is his thought process there?
Yeah, that's interesting here. Valuing blocking with the goat. I feel if you sack the passage, you're going to deal a damage to Pelt Collector, and then you're kind of priced into sacrificing that goat as well to get that Pelt Collector out of there. But it looks like William is valuing blocking with the goat a little bit more, but Vivian has other plans for blockers.
Yeah, we all know how much Vivian likes counters and tramples, so now it's going to be an interesting decision here for Eli. Does he decide to plus get counters and trample going, or is he just going to straight away take care of this Mayhem Devil or the Woe Strider? I think the goat's safe in this situation, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the -3 play is passable because there's another Vivian, but normally this is not what you want to do against a Mayhem Devil because it is going to die with this Fabled Passage. But that is just how powerful Mayhem Devil is against green, that you have to have a lot of ram throughs. You have to have your different fight spells. You got to keep it off the board because that is how the game just absolutely runs away from you.
Yeah, so Vivian being taken care of there. Mayhem Devil getting that ping of damage done. Woe Strider is going to munch both creatures here to get rid of the Pelt Collector. So at least, you know, it's not all, you know, doom and gloom here for Will Craddock at this point. At least getting one of these creatures off the battlefield.
Yeah, not bad at all. And, you know, William did lose a decent amount of resources here to clear off that Pelt Collector, but it is a very important card here as well.
So now he's just deciding, does he want the Castle Lock Twin on top just to draw a few extra cards a little later? Decides to send it to the bottom. In comes Yorvo for 4 points of damage. Passes the turn back to him, and another Bolas Citadel off the top isn't what you want to see.
Yeah, I think that was the Stone Cold worst draw in the deck right there, I would imagine.
I would imagine, yes. But luckily enough, we do have the second worst rider down. You can see him, agonizing over those 2 Citadels in hand. Not what you want to see. Here comes Questing Beast. That's another thing you definitely don't want to see, as Yorvo gets counters on alongside another Burkhart troll coming on down. Yorvo is getting rather large rather quickly. Swinging in for 10.
Absolutely. Oof. Absolutely, and we're seeing the little flex power there of Castle Castle Garenbridge there. Just adding that 6 mana when we only have 5 mana available to be able to double creature here is very undervalued in these green decks, in my opinion.
Trail of Crumbs off the top here. We're gonna get that down, get some food. Bolas the Citadel. Doesn't feel like we're going to see that for a little while. These Woe Striders hanging back now because these green dudes are getting real large real quickly. 2 Vivian Arcbow Rangers in hand. Here comes the first. Yeah. What are we going to see now? Trample?
Yeah,
let's get some Trample to the Death Toucher. William, that seems good.
Yeah, no kidding here. Trample to multiple creatures here. I like this a lot. If you trample the Questing Beast, trample Death Touch is unreal. But right now, William is double blocking the Questing Beast to take care of it with Woe Striders, and that's not a very good exchange at all. I think William has got his back up against the wall here on this one.
Yeah, for sure. This was almost the perfect start here for Eli Loveman and Mono Green, doing exactly what the deck wants to do. Go fast, go face, get this game over and done with. Here we see a few blocks tendered. Gonna get a Scry in there. Mounted on top. We don't want to see that. It's gonna stay there, though.
So that block and Scry there did not do anything against Trample. Blocking and then sacrificing don't work out too well there.
No, unfortunately not. So maybe just a little bit of a misstep there, and Eli Loveman is gonna take that victory.
GG.
So that's pretty much what the Mono Green deck wants to do, right? It's like just straight up get down, get your dudes going, and oftentimes people forget about Trample. It's like, oh yeah, I can do this, if you block with a cat, whatever, but the cat in this matchup is not good at all. I highly rate the Cauldron Familiar. I love that cat. A lot of people hate it though, but he is not good in this matchup at all. So, sideboard time. What do we do here against Mono Green?
Alias, do you love that cat or all cats?
I love all cats, obviously.
Okay,
that cat included.
Perfect. I knew that. So from sideboarding here, we definitely just want to max out on removal. Honestly, from both sides, there's so many creatures that are must-answer threats. When it comes to the Rakdos or the Jund Sacrifice side, you have to deal with Mayhem Devil. You have to deal with Woe Strider if it's getting out of hand here. And from the other side, you want to be maxing out on any kind of Noxious Grasps you have, and just trying to answer creatures. Yeah, so that's pretty much the main thing I'm seeing in Eli Loveman's sideboard is just the 2 Grasps as the only card that seems like an auto include. Probably the Corvold as well, I would assume.
Just a few last tweaks being made here to this list. And you got to think that this Mono Green deck is actually pretty well suited against the Jund Sacrifice list, which is the same deck that Will Craddock used when he won his Player Tour Online. We've got things like the Scavenging Ooze from M21 that can just munch on graveyards. So, oh, you'd like to escape something? Nope. Oh, you have a cat in there? Haha, yoink. It's a pretty tough matchup. Taking a look at this opening hand, this looks a lot better than game number 1 as we get things underway here with the good old Gilded Goose. Oh my goodness, 2 Pulp Collectors. Now the game is doubly over.
It's double over. Pack it in. Pro Tour is done. No, I totally agree with you. The matchup can be very tough, except for 2 very key cards from the Jund Sacrifice deck, and one of them just got cast there. Priest of the Forgotten Gods is a must-answer threat, as well as Claim the Firstborn leads to just some overpowered turns from the Jund Sacrifice thing. Just 1 mana for such a high impact threat is just so strong in this matchup.
Yeah, William is definitely going to be hoping to find some Claim the Firstborns because, you know, there's a juicy Yorvo hanging out there who would be ripe for the picking. So just getting another goose down. Priest is active, able to get that going. I bet he'd love to find a Mayhem Devil off the top of the library, as we're going to see big ol' Yorvo hit the battlefield.
Wow, and just a beautiful curve here from Eli. I mean, this is just the dream. When you draw well with mono green, the deck feels unbeatable. But when you're missing your fourth land with that deck, it feels like a completely different deck.
It certainly does, considering the 4-drops we're seeing in hand there. Now, one of the other key cards in this matchup, for green at least, is the Gem Raiser, which is just so powerful against artifacts and enchantments. You know, we can mutate onto the Pelt Collector, we can blow up ovens, Trail of Crumbs, whatever it is that he needs to get rid of. And there is the Mayhem Devil. So, are we going to see some sacrificial geese?
I think we might not see a board from Eli Loveman after this. I mean, depending on exactly what we can do, I mean, this is going to be a catastrophic turn for Eli Loveman here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, indeed. So, we're going to be cheeky here first and foremost. Let's sacrifice this food. Add mana for the priest. Let's start pinging things off here.
Yep.
Oh, this is brutal. Oh, nice. Hello. Yep, that's what we want to see. This is where John Sack gets cooking.
Yeah, I mean, what we're going to see here is we're sacking food here. Sacking 2 foods will deal with one of the Pelt Collectors. Priest could sacrifice 2 Gilded Goose, dealing with another, and then the ability from Priest could deal with Yorval. I mean, that is just such a backbreaking turn here, and really tough to come back from the mono green side.
This is going to be very, very difficult indeed, as we do see the 2 geese sacrificed to Priest of Forgotten Gods. Mayhem Devil triggers, Pelt Collector dies, and then Yorvo is forced to be sacrificed there by Eli Loveman. So there goes your battlefield, and look at Craddock's hand. It's just, sure, I'll have some of this. Let's get the kitty cat out. We're going to be doing this on your end step every single turn now. You know, wash, rinse, repeat. If you haven't been playing Standard in the last little while, this is pretty much where things get scooped up. And Eli Loveman's like, nah, I'm good. Let's go to game number 3.
Yeah, it's like, this day is going to be a long one with 7 rounds. I am not going to waste my mental energy on a game that is going to be very close to impossible to win. So, very nice that was game there from Will.
For sure. I mean, we've just seen now both decks get the starts that they want to have. Now, in game number 3, we're going to see Craddock on the play. What is the mindset going into this? What do you have to do? What do you have to prevent from... Excuse me, we're going to see Loveman going first. What is his ideal opening hand? Is just Pelt Collector, get as many things down, and just go? Don't even think about it. Just dump guys and just swing?
I mean, that's the evergreen thing to say, is always have Pelt Collector. That is definitely what you want to be doing. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change too much from the mono green side. You keep anything where you can curve out decently. And I mean, we look at Eli's hand right now. This isn't insane or anything, right? We don't have Pelt Collector, so it's not busted. But it's still a decent curve. Scavenging Ooze is great. Gem Raiser is a nice curve here, especially having Gem Raiser over Scavenging Ooze so that you can keep pumping it and it's still a trampling body is a very, very scary thing. The one thing I want to point out here that maybe not be the most obvious thing or the most common thing that people do, William brought in Rotting Regisaur, and I'm pretty interested on that one. I mean, it's a big body, so it makes sense, but it looked like William did not have that on the play, but decided that on the draw needed to have a little bit of a beefier creature to protect himself.
Nice. Swinging in here with the Scavenging Ooze, which is going to ram through this poor little goose. That eliminates the access to red mana. We do see that Claim the Firstborn in hand, along with Corvold, which won't be a feature just yet. But the other thing about Gem Raiser is that once it mutates onto the Scavenging Ooze, it's no longer targetable by the Claim the Firstborn. So the sooner we can get that Gem Raiser down, maybe the better. But we're going for Vivian Arcbow Ranger first and foremost, possibly taking care of this Worst Rider.
Yeah, definitely, possibly, and you said that absolutely perfectly, and that is what you have to do a lot of times with Stonecoil Serpent. If you ever get a giant one, it's almost a liability against these Claim the Firstborns, and I mean, we see another one here decides to send it to the bottom, but it becomes a bit of a liability against that card. It's just so powerful against the mono green deck that putting the Gem Razor over it, eliminating that clause, making it a 4-drop is huge.
Yep. Finally, we find the Fabled Passage to go and get some red mana, and we're going to yoink that ooze all the way to our side, swinging at Vivian, get that off the battlefield, and then Woestrider will finish off this pesky little oozy friend.
Yeah, very strong turn here for William. That is another just back-breaking sequence of taking your creature, using it against you. Yeah, welcome to the party, man, Devil.
All right, Eli Loveman just changed his game to hard mode. So let's see how he deals with this top deck.
Bang.
So Stonecoil Serpent.
Was a good draw. That was a good draw.
That's a lovely
you put Gem Razor on top of that. Yeah, you put Gem Razor on top, and we got a lovely 10-10.
No biggie. Well, actually quite biggie, but Yeah,
quite biggie, absolutely. But speaking of biggies, I think there might be a scary little creature coming down from the other side.
Oh, yes. Well, first things first, Corvold, Faker's King, gonna munch on some stuff. Gonna get some counters, get some extra card draw, and things are not looking super hot here right now for Loveman. This board is getting way out of hand.
Yeah, it's interesting if Loveman wants to... I mean, there's definitely some merit to just Gem Razor attack. It cannot be, Corvold cannot block. It has trample. This could just be a 2-hitter, but the question is do you die on the backswing to Corvold? I don't know if I've ever won a game when I've let my opponent untap with a Corvold and just say, hey, yeah, attack me, bring it on. It's like, no, don't attack me with that. I'm very scared of it.
Yeah, it's the ultimate come at me, bro. Yep.
Exactly.
Go fast, go face.
I think Eli's just realizing, like, hey, I'm not winning this game by holding back. I am mono green. I go smash.
Yep. That's all I know is to the face. So swinging in 10 points of damage, coming in hot. Will is going to go down to 4, but with no reach in this deck, you got to think he still feels pretty safe.
Yeah.
For now.
Oh, that's not a...
For now.
For now is for sure right. I mean, we have Mayhem Devil and Woestrider. That's 3 extra things to sacrifice, and every sacrifice is essentially 2 damage because it puts a counter on Corvold as well as Mayhem Devil deals a damage. So I mean, we can start getting the calculators out and do some long division here and see what we can find. But
opts to go for the draw first before the Mayhem Devil hits the battlefield. Is he looking for lands that don't hurt,
that's
perhaps?
Interesting. He's definitely just looking for some kind of gas. And I mean, even if you just find like Noxious Grass, right? Like you're not going to lose this game if you can deal with that Gem Razor. But it is shocking to me that especially that William acted so quickly without doing some math with Mayhem Devil. But William is an expert with this deck, so it makes sense that he is just like, well, I cannot deal 21, so I need to find some help.
Or just make Corvold enormous. That's always pretty helpful.
Yeah. That is helpful, but it is unfortunately multicolored, and multicolored creatures are not blocking that Gem Razor.
True. No, that is true. Corvold, you're doing nothing right now, so you either got to get good and get enormous, double your power, or unfortunately, it's going to be game over here for Will. Mono green just trampling on through here. Does he have any outs?
Yeah, at this point, now that we're down to 1 mana, we got 1 more land to make, so we can make like a Cauldron Familiar, and then I think the best thing is claiming the Troll, but I don't think that's going to be enough. Oh, okay, I see. We got 1 attack left to draw Noxious Grass. I think this is just going to be game, set, match.
No additional sacrifice there on the Woestrider either, just to dig a little deeper. Yeah, I don't know how he gets out of this.
I don't know.
Looks like Mono Green is going to pick up the very first win.
Oh, what a time to be alive where Mono Green is our first feature match and it's taking it down. I am a happy Corey right now, let me tell you. And
Yes,
you see
indeed.
that
I
was a
think
desperation.
Yeah, certainly
that looked like a desperation
digging
sacrifice there.
as deep as he can just to try and find the answer for this Gem Razor, which is gonna trample in for the win here. Yeah, he's just in that situation where he's like looking at the hand now going, oh man, is there anything that gets me out of this? I don't think so. You know, the little kitty cat can try, but yeah, cats are good. They're not that good, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And just I mean, good intuition by Eli Loveman to just jam that Gem Razor and play defense. Yeah. Some players might be like, okay, I want to hold this back so Corvold can't get crazy and play it safe. But I mean, that's playing to not lose. You need to play to win with mono green.
For sure. You know what your game plan is. You've got to just get your creatures as massive and as tramply as you possibly can. And with the help of Vivian Arkbow, that is exactly what's going to happen. 15 points of trample damage coming on through. The little kitty cat can only look at it and go, oh, no thanks, I don't want any of that. And we have our very first winner here in the feature match area of the Players Tour Final. Eli Loveman picking it up with mono freaking green. I love it. I love this deck so much. Man. It's so great.
Me too. I got a little discouraged playing this deck when every Temur Reclamation deck started to have like 4 Storm's Wrath with main deck or sideboard. So I got off the deck and joined the dark side, but dang, that is my favorite deck to play by far in Standard right now. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, it's just insanely powerful. You got to think if Craddock had possibly had a sacrifice engine going, if he'd had Trail of Crumbs or his oven and the cat going earlier, perhaps he would have gotten Corvold to the size where he could have just taken it away. But unfortunately, that is the way that the cookie crumbles, or in this case, the food token.
Nice.
Nice. All right. Well, we do have an interview with Eli Loveman, so let's go and hear from him and Riley right now. Oh, excuse me. We are going to an ad break instead, friends, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. I will be right back. I'm going to leave Corey here. We'll just, catch up later. So we'll see you very shortly after this.
And let's see what he finds. This could be it. If he hits well off of this collected company, there's a good chance that Ken will not be able to come back.
Looks like Selfless Spirit plus Deputy Detentions. I decided to go for Spell Queller instead.
Okay, a little bigger.
More toughness.
Yep.
In case he's able to counter the activation by giving the Alcide hexproof. All
right, looks like Karametra's Blessing, though, is going to save.
It's only a 3/3, though. He can't actually...
Yeah, he's offering a trade effectively. He did, but it looks like Kenta says, sure, I'll just take it, I guess. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, 3/4. So it has indestructible and +2/+2. Right, okay. Ken Yukihiro is at a very high life total. Remember, the Alseid has lifelink. So the hit before and the 2 cents have given it that. In the graveyard was Sentinel's Eyes. And if we are just going to straight up race, it will work. Oh, but there's an Abelgast Herald to tap it down. This is the type of sequencing that Kenta Harane needs to just win without Ken really getting to interact from here on out. Okay, so that resolved. That is the Alseid being tapped. Now he can fire off the Selfless Spirit because he has Rattle Chains on the battlefield. I assume he can't put 18 power in the air for next turn. That seems like a lot, but who knows?
So each of those is 3. So if he draws another Lord, his best bet if he draws a Coco into 2 Lords, it's lethal.
Then that would be, yeah.
But barring that, it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's at 14 right now, so a Lord is lethal. And that looks like a Lord.
There it is. Supreme Phantom. Tap down your last creature, and he just has to do the math and line everything up, because if you look at Ken's hand, at his board, he just has the 1 Plains left over, and that's a lethal attack. Kenta Harane is your champion for Players Tour Nagoya. Congratulations.
Welcome back to the Players Tour Online Finals, friends. I am Eli Loveman alongside Corey Baumaster, and we have just seen a very decisive victory for Mono Green in the hands of Eli Loveman in the very first round of action. We are going to be jumping into another very, very, very cool game very shortly, and it is Ken Yukihiro versus Javier Dominguez. Now, Corey, I want to ask you about the deck that Ken Yukihiro has brought to the table today. It is this Esper mid-range list. Him and 3 other players, or 3 players, brought this list to the table. And it is the most bizarre concoction of cards I think we have ever seen. talk us through this just a little bit.
Yeah.
What is the objective with this deck?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Ken Yukihira is a player who is always playing stock 75s, plays straight by the books, nothing outside of the lines. Okay, I'm totally kidding. Ken is always bringing something crazy and exciting to the table, and this deck is absolutely no difference. What we are seeing right now is an Esper midrange of just cards, when I look at the deck list, that just say, oh, this is annoying for Team of Reclamation, this is annoying for Team of Reclamation, this is annoying. It is every card I do not want to play against. Rotting Regisaurs, Teferis, Dovin's Vetoes. I mean, you know, we have Brazen Borrowers. It's just...
Seasoned Hallowblade?
Seasoned Hallowblade, the new addition here that makes removal, red removal, just so difficult to deal with. This is a deck that is for sure targeted at Team of Reclamation and maybe doesn't really want to play against anything else the whole tournament. So I'm very excited to see the first match up against Team of Reclamation and see if Ken can walk the walk, because we know Ken can talk the talk. So,
oh yeah, for sure. So, spoiler alert: Javier Dominguez is playing Team of Reclamation, and the players are ready to rock and roll. So let's go and see if this rogue Esper midrange deck can get it done against the most dominant deck, or the most prolific deck of this tournament. So here we go: Ken Yukihira, Javier Dominguez.
Oh, yeah.
Let's jump right in here to game number one. Take a look at this opening hand. No black mana, but we got some temples there to scry our way to get Rotting Regisaur out on turn number 3.
you see what I'm saying, Alias B? I mean, this is just an annoyance and a half for Team of Reclamation. Just the trickiest cards to play against. And oh yeah, why not have Aether Gust in the main as well to make that instant speed interaction just as good against the deck as well. So this is going to be an awesome sequence of events here.
It's certainly going to be a do or die in this matchup, because Javier Dominguez, former world champion, he is no pushover. Team of Reclamation is in very good hands with him, so we're going to have to see how this all shakes out. Rotting Regisaur, here comes Sir Reginald down on the battlefield. Unfortunately, doesn't get to play with any Ember Cleaves in this match, but it's all right.
I love that play right there. That is a very subtle play from Ken. Playing the Rotting Regisaur there plays around every single card right now, because he knows that his Teferi Time Reveler could get Mystical Disputed, and you know, even if Rotting Regisaur is going to make your hand deplete a lot faster, it makes Javier Dominguez essentially blink first. And when I say that, it means try to answer the threat, and then when he's trying to answer the threat, then boom, okay, now I can try for this Teferi. Or hey, maybe if I draw a Mystical Dispute, then I can just force it through no matter what. So really heads up play by Ken there.
Yeah, so now, as you said, he's got Teferi, he's got mana up to Mystical Dispute, the Mystical Dispute. So we're going to see an exchange of nopes here, but Teferi Time Raveler will ultimately hit the battlefield first for Ken Yukihira. So let's keep things rocking here. Reginald and Teferi, who would have thought we'd see that combination ever?
Name a more iconic duo, right?
Yeah, name a more iconic duo. Put Teferi on the dinosaur, that'll be great. I don't know if that's even possible in Magic, so let's not do that, but try him off the top of the library. Slightly limited options here for Javier. I mean, we've got Expansion Explosion, which is not really doing anything right now, so cycle Shark and try and get Teferi off the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and knowing Ken of how just a dynamic and experienced player, I don't think Ken is going to take that Teferi Planeswalker, tick it down to 2. He is very well aware of Shark Typhoon here, so I think this is going to be a very tough Teferi to get off, and this is probably just a little chumping Shark here.
It is indeed, so blocking 7 points of damage come into face, and we're going to see Seasoned Hallowblade there as the follow-up from Ken Yukihira. Teferi, as you mentioned, just going to keep plussing.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, Wilderness Reclamation is pretty turned off by that Teferi. You know, I mean, you, of course, can just play Wilderness Reclamation untap, but you're not going to be able to use that mana for anything because of the static ability from Teferi. So Javier's like, I have one play right now, and that's Explosion for 2. I can't win the game by just not doing anything. So all Javier is trying to do is just get that Uro in play, because that is a great blocker for Rotting Regisaur. But, you know, a nice pickup for Javier here in the form of Brazen Borrower. Yeah,
Brazen Borrower can at least save face.
Yep. I just saw Javier hover over his graveyard, though, and he has 4 cards in his yard. If he had that 5th card, Fabled Passage would allow him to have just an insane play of bounce, Rotting Regisaur, and then bring back Uro. And then all of a sudden, we're back in this.
Yeah.
But we're 1 card short, so it's going to be a little trickier.
Just a little unfortunate there with the amount of lands in hand. We can get Wilderness Reclamation down, but what do we do from there? We can start scrying with Castle Vantress, but we need to wait a turn to get that down. Oh no, it can come down now. So, he's got 1 more turn to find an answer for this Rotting Regisaur, this Teferi, and this Hello Blade.
Exactly. And Javier kind of went in the tank there a little bit, just deciding if, hey, is it better to play Wilderness Reclamation, do a Scry, or just play a Brazen Borrower and either put Ken to the decision of, should I bounce Brazen Borrower and then give you that bounce effect back, or just be okay with it and tick up Teferi? I like the Wilderness Reclamation play a little bit better, though.
Yeah.
And
Rotting Regisaur, Tide Taker, and Season Hello Blade down. Yeah, It's like, oh, you'd like to activate any of your abilities? Please pay 1 extra. Pay the tax man.
And here's a very cool interaction for anyone watching here. Look at how much mana was tapped for that castle. Tide Taker has that little clause of everything costs 1 more to activate. That includes Fabled Passage. That includes Castle. That includes, everything here. So I'm wondering how often is that going to get players that are not used to playing against this card. The last time we saw Tide Taker was in the sideboard of Jeskai Fires at Worlds with Marcial Carvalho sideboarding that card up against Temur Reclamation back then.
Yeah, so it's certainly not a card too many people will be familiar with, especially not in this Esper list that I don't think anyone was prepared for, honestly. I know a few of the broadcast teams saw the players playing this deck on ladder or, on Magic Online, and they were just like, wait a minute, what is this? The alarm bells started going off. It's like, this is what they're playing? What is this? Certainly one of the dark horses in this tournament.
Yeah, I think our very own Manny was doing some jam and getting ready for this and played against it on the ladder. And I remember, these kind of aha moments when you're just testing for a pro tour or a players tour, and you just play against this new deck, and then you just have to piece together like, oh, is this the real deal? Like, should we try to switch to this? I remember me and Seth Manfield were hoteling together for a pro tour back in the day, and we played against Sam Black, and he was playing some crazy off-the-wall deck. And like at 11:30 at night, me and Seth are like, okay, let's try to build this. Let's see if it's crazy. And then we're like, no, we gotta go to bed. This is a bad idea.
Hey, sometimes bad ideas work. We saw the Yorion Orzhov blank list that just completely obliterated so many players. Not too long ago, we're getting underway here now with game number 2 between Javier Dominguez and Ken Yukihiro. Ken is up a game with this Esper mid-range list designed to target Temur Reclamations. So let's see if Javier knows what to do with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kicking things off, here comes
and
the
thing
season
about this Ken deck. The thing about this Esper mid-range deck is I think it looks so good for the metagame because we are seeing a large percentage of Temur Reclamation, but I just do not want to see it up against like a mono green deck or a mono red deck. It seems like it could be a really rough matchup for Ken.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some pieces of removal that, I'm sure he... him and the other 2 players who brought this list, I'm sure that they are aware that there are going to be a few aggro strategies trying to do the same thing they're doing, target Temur Reclamation. So, he has some pieces of removal, but not a whole lot. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's a high variance decision when you metagame this this kind of severely, I guess, for a lack of a better word, is just if you play against the deck you want to play against constantly, that is very high chance that you can put together a really nice finish. But if you get some bad pairings, it happens, but it's definitely worth the gamble when it works.
Yeah, can you imagine the this Esper mirror match? Like, then what do you do? It's like, okay. Here we see the stomp on the season Hello Blade. Yeah, no, for sure. Here we see the stomp on the season Hello Blade, so gonna discard a card in hand just to keep that alive. Sticky threats, almost reminiscent of the Adanto Vanguard for those of our players who experienced Ixalan.
Yeah, no kidding. Very close to that.
Yeah, one of my first favorite cards is that's when I started playing, making my vampire deck, and Adanta Vanguard auto-include in every single list. This guy, he's a little stickier, doesn't damage you in the face when he needs to become indestructible, and it's also a pretty good blocker too, being able to stay as a 3/1. But
See,
this deck doesn't want to do any blocking. It's just like, I'm gonna kill you as quick as I can.
Exactly. For me, Adanta Vanguard was kind of the nightmare card because I loved playing Is It Phoenix back in the day, and that was the card that basically shut down that deck, and it made me sad.
Sorry.
But then when I played it with vampires, then I was back to having a blast with the card. That's for sure.
Good stuff. Well, swinging on in, here comes the Danto Vanguard in inverted commas, and the Rotting Regisaur. Staring down this Bone Crusher Giant, which is not going to have the best time here against these two critters.
Yeah, God, just so impressive to see a new cool deck like this. I mean, I think we could have all assumed that this was Team of Reclamation was going to be the most played deck, and maybe there wasn't going to be any new deck this late into a standard format. Ken Yukihiro is just like, oh no, you wait till what I bring to the table every single tournament. It's just so great to see.
Wasn't he?
Here's an attack.
I remember
for 10.
like the last tournament. I think just deciding if we want to block that. Wasn't he playing like 5-color? Is this Niv Mizzet or something in the last tournament? I think I saw him in. He always brings something off the wall.
Yeah, I think the one I remember the most was a Mardu Knights deck. When it was like Simic, when Simic was running rampant. Brad Nelson, Seth Manfield, and Javier Dominguez brought that cool band flash deck, and he brought Mardu Knights, which kind of preyed on it. I believe that was the same event.
Yeah, that was Mythic Championship 5, I think. If I'm not mistaken, but yeah, it's certainly one of the arena MCs.
Yep.
Oh man.
So I know you were there.
Oh yes, I was certainly there. That was a great deck, and this seems to be performing really, really well. Javier is now down to 10. Got the Bone Crusher Giant, a Nightpack Ambusher, and his Expansion Explosion, along with a Shark Typhoon in hand. So certainly not lacking options here, but it's just like, how do you attack this deck? Like, what do you do? He seems very much in the defensive right now.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And I mean, Javier has some decent tools here. Nightpack Ambusher is something that can, run away with this. But, the more I look at this right now, the more I think Javier might just be dead with what's in Ken's hand.
Yeah, we've got Brazen Borrow to interact with any blockers. We've got Dire Tactics if we want to get rid of something. But, we got to keep this Season Hallowblade alive.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
Presenting
of course lethal. You have to tap it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, then we have a chance here. Now we get to do something that is probably the best thing you can do against Rotting Regisaur, and it's just play Nightpack Ambusher and just kind of block with the wolves. That is a very common way to beat that card. But with double Brazy Bees here, this is not going to be as easy as Javier thinks.
No, not at all.
Right.
Here comes the Nightpack Ambusher down on the battlefield. Hopefully starting to create some chump blockers here for Javier, who is in dire straits indeed.
Yeah, I mean, we got 2 lethal attackers now with 2 pieces of interaction. Ken is not going to waste any time not giving Javier the chance to have Mystical Dispute still.
Yeah.
More than likely.
I mean, he could even just play the Brazen Borrower. Yeah, he could even just play the Brazen Borrower straight. Just be like, whee, I'm a flyer. But there is, of course, Shark Typhoon to worry about.
Exactly. Look at the nice interaction here as well, Alias, is Brazen Borrower and Rotting Regisaur actually work together quite well because, when it's on an adventure, it's still kind of in your hand, but it's not in your hand to discard. So Ken can be playing stuff even though Rotting Regisaur is destroying your hand. So that is a really cool interaction and a cool little angle of attack from this Esper mid-range deck.
Yeah. Yeah, the adventure creature is just giving you kind of a second hand to play out of, so...
Yep.
Let's see what the play is here from former world champion Javier Dominguez.
Yeah,
man, this deck is doing the thing.
I am so excited right now to have a deck that is looking like it has a very good matchup against the best deck. This is quite exciting. And I mean, on surface value right now, Javier can stay alive with a Nightpack Ambusher and a Shark, a 1/1 Shark. Even that's only a chump blocker for these things, but with that Brazen Borrower, I mean, the Brazen Borrower will have to be discarded at upkeep, to be fair.
Yeah.
So Javier will be able to stay alive.
Still not a great position to be in. This is just like, clawing on for dear life here.
Yeah, it's double chumps. I mean, we're double chumping if Ken just discards whatever he draws, but... Yeah, and I mean, there's no reason to play that. You already have 3 mana to play your other Brazen Borrower, so...
I mean, look at the disparity here. It's like, oh, 3 land? Cool, I'm winning. Look at you with all your land and nothing else going for you.
It's something that we haven't seen in Standard in so long, I mean, just very small amounts of lands. Aggro decks just have been kind of getting beat by Growth Spiral decks, but it is very refreshing to see 5 permanents on one side on turn 10 instead of, 15.
Certainly so. So here are the little chump blockers. We've got the Wolf and we have the 1/1 Shark. So the Wolf will survive this attack. See the discard here for the Season Hellowblade. There goes the 4th land. And still, the Esper mid-range deck keeps the beats down. Now, what to do with this, though?
Right away. Okay. And I don't see that Uro highlighted here, so that is a bit of a problem. But actually, we are pretty stable here on Javier's side because we do get that Wolf. You can cast one of these explosions. So Javier might be clawing back into this. Gonna be a big draw step for Ken.
Certainly so. So we'll see the end step arrive, the Wolf created, and then we're going to explosion one of these critters. It's not the best feeling when you have to explosion a 3/1 flyer, right? It's like, so much mana.
Yeah.
For not a whole heck of a lot.
Brazen Borrower is not great, but... I mean, and I think Javier could play the conservative route and just do it for 1. Hope to draw another piece of interaction, in case Ken draws well. Aether Gust, Teferi, Dire Tactics, all these cards that are going to be game winners.
That's the thing about this deck, though. Aether Gust doesn't do anything to it, and that's, partly the reason why they brought this color combination. It's just like, oh, everyone's playing main deck Aether Gusts. Look at all my creatures you can't cast.
Yeah, whenever you can sidestep main deck targeted cards like Aether Gust or Mystical Dispute, you just have such a natural edge starting game 1, I mean, it seems really tough to lose game 1 when if your opponent just draws one of the 4 cards in their deck, it's just a complete blank,
All right, so...
big top deck from Ken here.
It's a temple.
Not gonna do it.
Nope, that's not what you want to see, but...
Yep.
Now's the interesting part. Do we play that just to see what's on top of the library? We're going to go in with the Rotting Regisaur. Say, hey, would you like to kill it? No. Deciding against it, okay.
Interesting, because I mean, the double block,
one card that have your...
you lose the Ambusher.
One card that Javier picked up, which has actually been quite the star performer, is the Spectral Sailor. Just being able to, at this point in a game, like dig through your library and just keep drawing so many cards.
Yeah, a little shocked that it's in the deck after this matchup, but, I'm guessing the reason Javier brought it in is he just did not have enough cards for this matchup because, well, he probably didn't prepare for the Esper Rotting Regisaur the Fairy Time Reveler deck for his Players Tour Finals.
No.
And no
Island
attack.
Off the top here,
Interesting.
Yeah, like, it doesn't... I don't think it gains him anything.
Yeah, no, not really. But yeah, back to what you're saying, Spectral Sailor has just been an MVP for me. Some people are not playing any and stuff, and I wanted to fit a 3rd in if they didn't have so much diminishing returns. AKA, you don't want to draw 2 of that card because the effect doesn't really stack that well. But that card is just so strong.
Yeah. So, Ken's getting a little desperate, it feels here. He's scrying his way to try and find something to get him the win here, but now he has left his Seasoned Hellowblade ripe for the picking, which Javier is going to pounce on. So he's going to get this creature off the battlefield. No more cards in hand to discard. So now it's just Rotting Regisaur hanging, and he's stabilized at 1 life. Wow, that just shows you the power of Team of Reclamation, just being able to refill its hand, get threats off the battlefield. So even against a deck that's just designed to beat it, you can still win with Team of Reclamation.
Oh yeah, Team of Reclamation is still a phenomenal deck, and Javier put himself in a position that as long as Ken, faded 2 draw steps, just drew a land or a couple blanks for 2 turns, he was going to have a chance to get back into the game. He made some great plays to be able to put himself in that position, so very impressive.
Yeah, certainly. And this
All
wolf
right,
has
and
been.
deciding what to
I know
take
we were
out.
chatting about the. We were chatting about this wolf ahead of the event, and you said you thought it was a trap, but look how good it can be in the right matchups.
Yeah,
So
I
what do you
it's
think
a bit
about
of a
the wolf
trap.
now?
I think it's a bit of a trap in the mirrors. It just gets kind of overshadowed by Uro too often. It falls into the Aether Gust trap. I haven't won many games on just the back of Night Pack Ambusher like I have in previous standard formats with the card. But against aggro, there is nothing overrated about Night Pack Ambusher. It is an all-star there, and I love it in those matchups. I mostly mean the Growth Spiral mirrors on that one.
Yes, for sure, and also it is gustable, which is a new word that we've coined here. So but I think having access to at least one of them for those aggressive matchups, you can't really go wrong with that.
Oh, you can't go wrong. Yep. The Wild Wolf is still very good at controlling these creature decks. Very good against Rotting Regisaur, like we saw as well. Just making sure they're always losing a card, and the only resource you're losing as the Team of Reclamation player is just not playing spells during your turn, and you get a free chump blocker every turn. That's a small price to pay to lock down a 7/6. Oh yeah. Scry 6 before we start the game. Let's go.
Sure, why not? That seems
bringing me back to
totally
Jeskai
fine,
Fires
right?
Here. Yep, it's bringing me back to
Don't talk about
Jeskai
Jeskai
Fires.
No.
You probably saw
Leave it in
enough
the
of
past.
that on broadcast.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the old Jeskai Fires is the new Team of Reclamation, I feel.
I think so. Yes, that's a fair assessment. So just let's have a look at how powerful this is now, right? We've got Tithe Taker, which really messes up with the Team of Reclamation game plan. We've got Rotting Regisaur, which really messes up the life total of the Team of Reclamation plan. So what do you feel about this scry?
I like it. I mean, these are good cards. You want land number 4 when you have this many Sphinxes. I personally would like putting the land on the bottom as well because, well, you're going to have plays on turn 2, turn 3, and even turn 3 again if you brick. That eventually you're going to get a land to cast the Sphinxes. And the Sphinxes are not the most important thing. They're just really about smoothing your draws and making sure that you're putting threats out on turn 2 and on turn 3 every single game. And the nice thing here about Ken's deck is now Javier has to sideboard in such a way that he has to deal with creatures. And then you're just like, yeah, I mean, I just hope you don't have Teferi because I can't leave in negates. I can't leave in disputes against your 3-mana 7/6 deck. It puts sideboarding from the Team of Reclamation side in just such a rough spot here. Oh, Spectral Sailor
we're going to
not
see a
doing
block
its
there
best
for the
work
Spectral
here.
Sailor. No.
Yep,
But that's
get rid of
forced to
all those
discard, I guess.
Sphinxes. Yeah.
Bye, birdie.
Yep. And soaks up 3 damage. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, and here
it's
comes
dino
the
time.
7/6. Brrr. That's not a dinosaur, it's more like a Wookiee. But anyway, a trio tribal off the top here for Javier Dominguez. He's got some interaction, he's got some beefy bodies. As Uro, Titan Nature's Wrath had life total. So, this game I'm betting he's hoping that he can just get a few more cards in the bin. That's possibly why we saw the Spectral Sailor block there. Just to be able to cast Uro as quick as possible and just get a big dumb body in the way of the big dumb bodies flying at his face.
So Javier has a really interesting decision right now. He could either go double Bone Crusher Giant there, double Stomp on the 3/1 and force 2 discards, and then Rotting Regisaur would make Ken discard the 3rd card and then just has to win with this. Or, only using the Bone Crusher and Uro here to kind of set up a little bit better. I kind of liked the double stomp play because now, I mean, in hindsight, we have perfect information. It's a lot easier for me to see, of course. But in hindsight, now all of a sudden, we're going to have another 7-6 hitting the battlefield here, and that's going to be really, really tough for Javier to deal with.
Yes, indeed, because he hasn't got any. Yeah, have you seen? What is it? A herd of dinosaurs? I don't know. But yes, several dinosaurs flying at you is not pleasant. So Ether Gust off the top of the library, that'll keep an Uro at bay if needs be. But here comes a Reggie number 1, down to 14 goes Javier, and hey, look, another one.
Huge draw step there from Ken. Just any instant speed interaction on his upkeep before he has to discard the card. I mean, if you draw a creature there, if you draw Teferi, no matter what, you're going to have to discard it. You're not going to get value. But any instant speed, Aether Gust, Brazen Bar, anything proactive like that is exactly what he wanted, because now he has something to do before he draws.
Yeah, this is looking very, very good here for Ken Yukihiro with this Esper mid-range deck designed to take out these Team Reclamation lists. Bone Crusher Giant's gonna hit the battlefield, but he's gonna get sent straight away with this Ether Gust in hand. And yeah, it looks like we're gonna see a lethal attack. Oh, hey, you do 2 damage to me when I target you, but you know what? It's totally fine. Discard triggers on the stack. Ether Gust. Goodbye, dear friend. You can ping me for 2, but I'm gonna hit you for a lot. 17 points of damage coming on. And we're gonna see Ken Yukihiro pick up this victory. What a time to be alive. Winning top level Magic with Rotting Regisaur. I love it. Ken Yukihiro, bless you for bringing this very, very, very strange yet effective Esper mid-range list.
Yeah, everyone knew Esper midrange was going to be the talk of the town and just the most played deck coming into the... I'm totally kidding. This is an off-the-wall deck that nobody expected, including Javier Dominguez. So really, really impressive metagaming here from Ken. Getting the matchup he wanted round 1 and capitalizing on it.
Yeah, so he's going to be hoping now that the rest of his matchups are going to be Team of Reclamation, Team of Reclamation, Team of Reclamation, because any of the other lists or other decks that he wants to face, I don't think he's going to have as much success with, but that remains to be seen, friends. We are going to go to a very short commercial break, but when we come back, we'll have plenty more action from round number 1.
And a punishing one too, Inverter of Truth and 2 copies of Jace as well. This is tough here for Gregor.
There's a huge crowd next to that. You could see the audible,
Yep. You can hear them just off camera there like that. They're on a slight delay so as not to alert the players as to what's going on. And you could hear, that was a big whiff. A big whiff.
We're not out of the woods yet.
Not out of the woods.
This is Plan Z.
There's a plan, we're all the way down to Plan Z.
Plan Z.
Plan Z, all right. So, Thief of Sanity, of course, can still flip something cool off the top of Larsen's library, but he's on a comfortable 27, and Gregorski has kind of moved away from that 1-2 punch territory there without really being able to stitch together his primary game plan. Thought Seize reveals a mystical dispute.
Irrelevant.
That disputation has been put to bed. Did he find Emrakul off the top of
He can't play
Larsen's library?
He doesn't have a graveyard, so he can't really make it cheaper. And Emrakul costs 13.
Yeah, you need 4 more lands.
Yeah,
that's way too much. Yes,
ambitious.
It's not the promised end of this matchup, at least here. All right, 4 blocks. Will we see the Murderous Rider? Puts the land into play. Another clue token. Not going to miss that.
Before blockers.
Before blocks.
He's lining up 3
1,
mana.
2, 3 mana.
Yeah, 2 of them are black.
Swift End. Here it comes. This is going to win Yoel Larsen the Players Tour Final. Sataway Finder, the only blocker available. Crack a clue, put a counter on the Tireless Tracker, and that is the game. Yoel Larsen has seen it, everyone has seen it, Glogowski has seen it, and that is that! The champion of Players Tour Europe is the Swedish superstar, Yoel Larsen. What a performance from him, oh my goodness.
Welcome back to the Players Tour Finals. Friends, I am Eli Loveman alongside Corey Baumaster, and we are going to jump into some more Magic here. It is going to be Seth Manfield versus Tsu Ching Kuo playing Mono Green against Seth Manfield's Teamer Reclamation. So this is a bit of a catch-up here match. Seth won a very, very long game 1, and Kuo won a very quick game number 2. So that's what you want to do with mono green, right? Win quick, get in, get out, get your game done.
Yeah, that seems like the absolute dynamic of this matchup. If mono green wins, it's gonna be quick. If Team of Reclamation wins, it's gonna be with Uro on turn 7 or whatever, you know.
Well, let's see how this game number 3 shakes out between Seth Manfield and Su Jing Kuo. They are ready to rock and roll. So let's see how this one goes. All right, so Seth's going to be on the play.
Game number 3.
Eee, that's not a hand you want to see.
That's a lot of lands.
I heard you like lands with your creatures.
Yeah, I didn't know he bought any recent property because he is clearly a landlord here.
Oh, don't keep that. Please don't keep that. Eek! Okay, why did he keep that, Corey?
Seth Manfield? Have you? Because he is Seth Manfield, and he is not a big fan of that mulligan button because he just he realizes that it's one less card. You win more games with 7 cards, so I see a Seth keep like that when I test with him all the time for Pro Tours, and this doesn't even surprise me even a little bit, Alias. I'm not gonna lie.
All right,
I love it.
Okay. I understand that logic then. All right, so he drew a Nightpack Ambusher, so he's just sitting here going like, all right, the deck likes me, right? I'm just going to draw into gas. It's going to be totally fine.
Yeah, he literally just drew the best possible card. But one thing in Seth's defense here, he kind of did keep a 2-spell 6-lander because Bone Crusher does have that stomp mode, and then you can play it. And you know, you have to deal with Pelt Collector a large amount of... look at this. Seth is just a master.
Oh my
just drawing a perfect aggro curve. Oh, man.
Man,
wow,
this Elder Gargoyle is a new card from
impressed.
M21. It is such a house. It hits the battlefield, and I usually have a few expletives lined up for when I see this card because there's not much that you can do about it. It's just like, okay, cool, great. I'm so dead. Burkhart Troll swinging in here, Bone Crusher Giant. Can block. To take damage or not to take damage, that is the question.
To deal with. Yep, and I mean, you really have to have a Death Toucher with one of these Ram Through effects or Vivian, and right now, we just do not see it from our mono green player. So this Elder Gargaroth, excuse me, I can't talk, is going to be so effective.
It is at that. So now we just see the pass back. We're going to fire off a Nightpack Ambusher here if we see an attack. Unlikely, though, considering there's a... you know what? Sure, why not? We'll just... Hey, Nightpack Ambusher, you want to have some fun? No instant speed interaction for Su Jing Kuo, so this is going to be a very dead Burkhart Troll, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, people think, oh, why are we keeping a 6-land hand here? That's because Seth knows what he's doing. He knew Nightpack Ambusher and Elder Gargaroth were on the top, and it is going to pay off huge dividends here. He even gets to eat the troll here with that attack. Everything's coming up, Seth.
Oh, yes. This is looking very, very good for him indeed. I mean, it's to the point now, it's where, like, he has more creatures, bigger creatures, than the mono green aggro player. It's like, wait, what? Team of Reclamation, you're not supposed to do this, but lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah. Team of Reclamation can do anything, Alias.
I know. It's like when I was playing with these decks ahead of the tournament, you know, just to brush up on how the interactions work and whatnot, it's like, it almost feels like playing Magic on easy mode. It's like, oh, okay, I just do this, I get that, and I win. Great. It's insane.
Like you have to sequence your first 3-4 turns very properly and be very concise about what you want to do in the early game. But then once you get to a certain point in the game, you can just basically cover your eyes, pick one of your spells to play. They're all insanely powerful, and you're probably fine.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Here's an Elder Gargaroth on the battlefield. I'm just going to keep making creatures or get life or cards, you know, whatever I need. It's cool. It's totally cool.
And I learned something new about the Elder Gargaroth every single time I play against that card. You know, I learned this last weekend after I attacked my Brazen Borrower into it. It has reach. I tried to block it with a Bone Crusher the other day in testing. I learned it has trample. I mean, it just does it all.
It does indeed. And look at... Okay, Su Jing Kuo is kind of establishing a bit of a comeback here. Maybe there's still hope for the mono greenness. Getting two pretty big creatures down. Yorvo is growing. Not yet at all. We've got Sky Shark. The thing that flies and eats things. The Shark Typhoon. There we go.
Yes.
So that can come
Of
down.
course, yes. The
soonish.
flying sharks, very common thing.
Very,
No
very
attack
common.
with the Gargaroth.
It
That kind of...
Well, you don't want it to die,
That,
right? You'd
kind
rather just
of-
be able to pick and choose your blocks.
Yeah, that's fair, but if this Yorvo gets any bigger, Elder Gargaroth is not going to have the option to attack anymore. So, you know, I think I would have jammed and got my value with it and destroyed that card before it got too big. But Seth also has a bunch of Aether Gusts and stuff like that he can wait to play for just the huge blowout effect. So it makes sense to hold back.
Yeah, and you can
And
also
that's
block
a
it with
little
any of the
bigger.
other creatures. Trading a 6/6 for a 5/5 or a 3/3 is not super great, so... Now Yorvo is enormous, though, and he can cast another Yorvo because that gets rid of the lovely legend rule. Isn't that fun? Look at me!
That
I'm the
is
biggest thing on the
fun.
battlefield now.
That is fun. Just cover up my Yorvo and be like, I don't have another legend. You can't prove it.
No, it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. So to block
Okay,
or not
that
to
is an
block? That is the question.
11. I mean, I don't know if you can just take a smack for 11 too often here, but you would have to block with a lot of things to be able to take this down. Yeah, all of a sudden, this does not look like Seth's game all of a sudden. Interesting.
We can make a big old shark. We can attack with the Gargoyle if we want to. Potentially block here with 3 creatures. Get this off the battlefield because it's going to be an ever-growing threat, right? So yeah, I kind of like
Yep.
this. We can
I
make
like
another
that a lot.
creature.
Yep, this is good. Then you get to still have the Night Pack Ambusher round to continually getting new threats.
All right, so the Gargoyle trigger. Let's see. We're going to make another beast. Yeah.
Yeah, getting
All right,
another
so
creature
several
out
creatures
there.
off the
Decent
battlefield. We
exchange
do
for
get to make
Seth.
another one, though.
Okay.
Castle Ventress
Not a
Scry.
bad scry.
Still no real big impactful draw play here for Seth at the moment.
Yeah, I think Seth is really hoping for like a wilderness reclamation right now to just be able to cast an explosion for just an absurd amount. But for now, he gets to just be nice and patient, create some wolves, and make your opponent blink first.
Yeah. Oof. Forest off the top of the library. This one thing that the aggro decks don't do very well is draw cards. Refill the gas. You just
Yeah.
kind of have to sit there and hope.
Yeah, exactly that. Once you get to this point of the game, you just have to hope that you are drawing nothing but 4 converted mana cost 4 cards or just great creatures. If you just keep drawing, 2 lands off the top, the Growth Spiral decks will outcard advantage you and they will beat you eventually.
So with that in mind, do you think it would have been better to hold back the Gem Razor?
I don't think it was really getting any better for that Gem Razor. I think the one aspect to hold it back is if you get like a ram through, if those are still in his deck, then you can just go crazy with that. But then you are risking that Seth can... Oh, God. Oh, no.
Oh, dear. Oh, here comes the pain.
Welcome.
Okay.
Oh, man. Yeah,
All right,
that was
so
a
step
great
one.
draw
Let's Wilderness
there.
Reclamation.
And
Right.
still no
so
attack.
the shiftings, the shifting Ceratops can get reach, and it's got pro blue, so that shark would just die, unfortunately.
Yep.
But we're gonna explosion.
Yep,
Let's get
exactly.
something out the way. Goodbye, Yorvo. I would like to draw many cards, please, says Explosion.
You know how you just
Cool.
said mono
Refill
green
right
doesn't
now.
draw cards very well? Team of
Yeah.
Reclamation
You know what-
does.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's like, oh, cool, we're good. It's like the beginning of the game again. Now, just a reminder, this was was it a 6-land keep or? Yeah,
Oh, 6, yep.
like there were
absolutely.
many.
All 6.
And Seth's just like, yeah, this is fine. I mean, just look, another forest in hand here for Tsu Ching Kuo. This deck needs to get the game over and done with as quick as it can, or it just
Yeah.
sits there floundering. Oh, man.
Yeah, and it wasn't even
Feels bad.
It wasn't even like a 6-land keep, like a tank and keep a 6-lander. It was a snap keep 6-lander, and that's what I love about Seth.
He's like, yeah, this is fine.
That was fun. No big deal. But it did work out great. Nightpack Ambusher into Elder Gargaroth was just so perfect, since Stomp into Bone Crusher is already a great 2 to 3 sequence. So it paid off for Seth.
Yeah. And we're seeing again this Nightpack Ambusher just proving how good it is in these creature-based matchups. Because every single turn, you're getting a free 3/3. Well, a 2/2 that gets buffed, but a free creature every single turn. Whereas for Tsuchin Quo, he's got nothing added to the battlefield.
Yeah, this is going to be a near impossible win here from our mono green player. That is just too difficult to overcome here. And the explosion here should just wrap it up, if not just gain you so many cards that it is going to be impossible to come back.
Cedric's going to be sad about it, I bet.
Of course, yeah. Hey, he got one of the mono green players winning in the feature match. I think that's considered a win.
Yeah. Yeah, so far, what, 1-1 for our mono green features so far? Not too shabby.
Yep, not too shabby at all.
So a few blocks tendered here as our 3/3s swing in. One of the wolves will go unanswered, keeping the Burkhart troll alive. But, just chipping away at damage, getting within explosion range. I'm terrible at explosion math, so Corey, if you wouldn't mind telling us how many lands we need to kill our opponent right now, that'd be great.
Well, it would be 21 total, and it looks like we can explosion for 13. So we're 4 off. So there's not even a huge reason to do it right now. I think what I would do, and what Seth is probably going to do, is just kind of a value turn here. Play the Growth Spiral, cycle the Triome, cast both Aether Gusts, and just realizing that there's nothing that can be done. There's no one top deck that is going to shift the game in such a way. So Seth is just going to make sure he casts everything else until the explosion is exactly lethal or way over lethal. And that should be next turn.
No kill like overkill, huh? It looks like Seth is going for an itty-bitty explosion.
Exactly. Okay.
Just gonna get a few
completely
more
here.
chips away at that life turtle.
Yeah, exactly. This comes to the point where it's like, I can kind of close my eyes and pick any of my spells at random from Reclamation, and I'll probably be okay.
Yeah, and finds another expansion explosion, so you've got to think that this game is all but won here for Team Reclamation and Seth Manfield, but let's see how the last few turns, if we even get to multiple turns, do shake out. What is the draw here for Quo? It is a Castle Garen break. That's not gonna do it. Unfortunately, just finding lands. We thought Seth was the landlord, but it turns out that Tsuchin Quo, unfortunately, with a mono green, was the landlord in this game. Congratulations to Seth Manfield.
Yeah, Quo just top-8 like 4 lands in a row there. Nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometime. So unfortunately for them, but Seth Manfield picks up a very decisive victory with the most powerful deck pretty much in this tournament. So friends, when we come back, we will have more action for you at the Players Tour Finals. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Castle Vantress Scry, 1 top, 1 bottom.
In theory, the wolf can block the Nightpack Ambusher, but I don't know what he can draw now. See, 6, 18 mana, not enough to even just YOLO explosion for lethal. He's going to be up against 4 creatures at 1 life. Maybe if he had Storm's Wrath.
He finds an expansion explosion. I don't think that's going to get the job done here, not with so few lands in play.
Well,
Can
it has
kill
to
something.
involve, like, let's suppose he cast it for 5 and then drew 3 Aether Gusts or something. Like, that's kind of...
That's his only out here.
Yeah, something of that nature. Maybe I'll cast it for 4 and try to draw 3 Aether Gusts. But he has to still draw 3 answers to all this stuff.
Yeah. Here we go. Explosion on the stack. Trying to get rid of the Nightpack Ambusher. Mystical Dispute.
Dispute.
Negate that.
save a mana, but I don't know. I don't think he can even. I think 5 mana is not enough, even with perfect draws. I think you need 6. I think it's 2 per wolf in the best case.
And such a tough position here for Dominic, not finding anything proactive, just a handful of nopes, and Elias took full advantage of that. Here's another negate. A second negate to negate the negate. Nopes upon nopes on the stack right now. And finally, Explosion resolves. Doesn't find anything useful. Blast Zone, gonna blow up some stuff. There goes Dominic. So congratulations to Elias Watsfeld, our winner here of Players Tour Online #1.
And a punishing one too. Inverter of Truth and 2 copies of Jace as well. This is tough here for Kowalski.
There's a huge crowd next to that. You could see the audible. Oh.
Yep. You can hear them just off camera there like that. They're on a slight delay so as not to alert the players as to what's going on. And you could hear that was a big whiff. A big whiff.
We're not out of the woods yet.
Not out of the woods.
This is Plan Z.
There's a plan. We're all the way down to Plan Z.
Plan Z.
Plan Z.
Welcome back to the news desk here. Riley Knight joined by Cedric Phillips. Great to have your company as we continue our coverage of the Players Tour final here. Cedric, any highlights from round #1? Certainly had some sparks fly down the feature match there.
Do you see this frowny, pouty face, Riley?
No, he's not happy.
You see that because
he's not happy.
Mono Green, I mean, it did well in one match and lost to Seth Manfield. So, I'm a big Mono Green fan. I think everybody knows that, especially if you follow me on social media. I've been playing a lot on Arena as well, as I said at the top of the show. But Elder Gargaroth is a real pain for that deck to get through, and just concerted efforts to beat Mono Green after sideboard is a lot of what Team of Reclamation players are doing here this weekend. I think it's going to be a tough road to hoe for a lot of Mono Green players if they don't have a sideboard plan that can kind of one-up what Team of Reclamation is doing in those sideboarded games. So maybe someone found it, maybe they didn't, but Eli Loveman, a former Pro Tour champion, he's off to a good start with Mono Green, so kudos to him.
Yes, indeed. Plenty of other players off to a good start. I got the chance to catch up with a fair few players who had got off to a good start, a round 1 win for many players, including French Hall of Famer Rafael Levy. He is 1-0. He's playing white-blue control, and this was a deck that was actually given to him by a fellow French Hall of Famer, Gabriel Nassif, and guess who his first round opponent was? It was Rafael Levy. These two played against each other, and Raf crushed Gabriel. He expressed absolutely no remorse for this. He said no, absolutely had it coming. No, of course he did. He did say he felt a bit bad for beating Nassif with his own deck list, but it does kind of make up for the fact that Raf gave Gabriel a deck list for Worlds where Gabriel beat Raf, so got a little bit of justice there.
Yep.
Li Shi-Chan beat Brian Koval within a couple of minutes with Rakdos Sacrifice against Mono White. We've talked a lot about Mono White. We expected to do big things this weekend, but not against Rakdos Sacrifice. Mayhem Devils killing 5 or 6 creatures per game there, and Li Shi-Chan able to play through a removal. No Anthem effects from Brian there, so Mayhem Devil got it done. Ali Warfield, of course, famed Rivals competitor. She beat Eduardo Sajgalic in a growth spiral Team Reclamation mirror, although Sajgalic playing white. Eduardo was splashing for white, but didn't work out for the Canadian, especially after a multi for 5. Ali went for Teamer rather than 4-color, as she wanted. She said she wanted to be a bit better against the other decks in the field, and it makes sense, particularly with people coming for Teamer so hard, and certainly worked out in this particular instance. Although, of course, commiserations to Eduardo on a mulligan of 5 there. I want to quickly mention Isaac Krut, who is the lone Knights player in the field. He's playing Rakdos Knights. I'm going to keep a close eye on him. I'm a big fan of this deck. He believes in the cleave. He wanted to strap an Ember Cleave to a Rotting Regisaur and get it done, and he was able to beat Pete Ingram on Team of Reclamation. And finally, another 1-0 play. Of course, plenty of 1-0 players, but another notable one here. Corey Burkhart off to the perfect start with a win against Fabrizio and Terry. Fabrizio was on band. Corey Burkhart described his win as being smooth as butter. He said he drew the perfect combination of creatures and anthems. Corey didn't want to have to play Growth Spiral Mirrors. Even though he didn't get to play too much with Mono White, he was still feeling confident that it was the deck for him. So everyone's favourite Corey doing very, very well in game number 1. Now, speaking of Team of Reclamation, we're going to check out what's coming up next your way here, because it's time to have a look at this deck. Team of Reclamation is, of course, a very potent, very powerful archetype, Cedric. A deck that is more or less the talk of the weekend. And I know, at least, that you don't mind too much seeing. So let's have a look here at what Team of Rec is all about.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Players Tour Finals Archetype Overview. Let's take a look at Team of Reclamation. Team of Reclamation is a deck built to exploit the massive amounts of mana provided by Wilderness Reclamation. Early ramp spells like Growth Spiral and Uro help players deploy Wilderness Reclamation ahead of schedule, while Storm's Wrath and Scorching Dragonfire clear away any early opposing threats. Once the Reclamation player has their mana doubling permanents in play, it's time to dome face with the explosion half of Expansion Explosion, refilling their hand in the process to do it all over again. Overall, Team of Reclamation is an extremely powerful deck with very few weaknesses. Opposing decks will be looking to either win early or find ways to kill or prevent Wilderness Reclamation from resolving. There's no denying the inherent power of doubling your resources. When Wilderness Reclamation hits the board, the game will very likely be over soon.
Well, that's the deck. That is the talk of the weekend, of course, and I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty of Growth Spirals, plenty of Wilderness Reclamations throughout the weekend. Although, let's see what's next in the hopper now as we head into round number 2. Cedric, we will be checking in with Corey Burkhart, who is 1-0 after a tidy win in round number 1. Corey Burkhart, of course, one of our Players Tour champions. We got the chance to catch up with him heading into this tournament.
For me, it's a matter of, am I going to do anything special? No, I'm just going to play the decks that I enjoy playing, play Magic the way that I want to play it. I'm going to try to come with something that is my own style. If I can't find something that can compete with the Team of Reclamations, the Bans, the Rakdos Sacrifices, then, hey, maybe I'll end up playing one of those. But in terms of the mental mindset, it's just another tournament. Go out there, play your best game, and don't try to overthink it.
Great to hear from everyone's favourite Corey, of course. Corey Baumaster languishing in second place in the eyes and the estimation. Our coverage colleague there's got some catching up to do, Cedric. Well, oh, boo, poor Corey. Anyway, let's have a look at this, at what we've got lined up here, because it's Gregor, Corey Baumaster playing against Gregor Kowalski, the famous Polish player here. You can see these two going head-to-head, Mono White Aggro versus Bant Ramp. And Cedric, we're going to get the chance to have a squeeze at the respective deck lists of these two players. Both these players in a similar kind of echelon. You can see in the same realm in terms of when they started playing, how much money they've won. But very different deck styles when it's come to this tournament. And Corey Burkhart really breaking the mold. This is not Grixis Control. What's going on, Cedric?
No, this is far from Grixis Control, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, because he's so well known for playing kind of blue-black based strategies. Grixis Control, Dimir Inverter is what he won Players Tour Phoenix with, and now I'm seeing, of course, this mono white deck that dominated that Red Bull qualifier that I know you did coverage on, and players' opinions on this deck are somewhat split. As me, someone who loves a mono-color aggressive decks of all shapes and sizes, I love a mono white aggressive deck, and this one is good against Team of Reclamation, but it really took that tournament by storm last weekend. So the real question is now that everybody knows the joke, is the joke still funny? Well, you said smooth as butter for Corey in round number 1. Will that happen again? Because look, this deck does one thing, puts a bunch of knuckleheads on the battlefield very quickly and tries to kill you very fast. If the game goes 7, 8, 9 turns, this deck will not win. So it's up to Corey Burkhart to win this game incredibly quickly. Selfless Savior, Venerated Loxodon, Glorious Anthem enables very, very quick kills. But this deck does not mulligan particularly well either, Riley. So really, when you play this deck, you're saying, I really hope my opening good, and I might have to go to 6. And if it's 6 isn't good, I'm probably not going to win. Now, the opposite can be said about this Bant deck that Gregor is playing, because Bant is incredibly, incredibly powerful. We'll take a look at that deck list, and you're going to see a lot of Growth Spirals, a lot of Mythic rares and rares in general. Uro, Hydroid Krasis, Shadow of the Sky, Planeswalker, and Nissa, and the Teferis, plural, and Master of Time and Time Raveler. This deck just wants to extend the game against this mono white deck. If it's able to do that, it will win because its cards are more powerful. But I will warn the mono white deck, I'll warn Gregor's in his Bant Ramp deck. This mono white deck, Riley, is incredibly fast. You watched it, you know that.
Oh yeah, and Burkhart has beaten a slow band player in round number 1, so he's coming in hot. He's ready to get it done once again, and we're going to find out exactly how it goes between these two players here. I think the safe bet is, Cedric, if the game goes longer than as you say, 6-7 turns, it's probably going to go the way of the band player, but we will see.
Yep.
Things are gearing up for round number 2 here as part of the Players Tour final. So stay with us. We'll be back with live magic coming your way hot and fresh after this.
Breeding Pool, that kind of develops your mana.
Ooh.
There's an Uro that will also do similar. Oh, but there's another shark now as well. This board state's getting out of hand pretty quickly.
Yeah, this was the big question for me is Ryuji going to send the Night Pack Ambusher? But he does not. He is not falling for that one.
And this one has really started to fall apart for Jean Emmanuel. What does a comeback look like here?
Well, we're going to see a big turn for him, too, because he has that same combination of Wilderness Reclamation and Expansion. Now, how the players each choose to utilize their mana is not obvious to me. But
I see.
Depra will certainly play Wilderness Reclamation here and will certainly have access to at least 9 mana on his end step.
John Emmanuel's going to kick it off with a Growth Spiral. Must find a way to interact with this spell on the stack or it's over. There it is, Growth Spiral. He finds a mountain.
Play a land and cycle the Shark Typhoon for 1 more shot at Negate or Ether Gust.
That's it. That's exactly where we're at. Here we go. Shark Typhoon cycle. Try to hit something. X equals 0. It's Mystical Dispute. Oh, not the one that Jean Emmanuel needed. All Murray has to do is pay for it, and he will be your champion. There it goes. Players Tour Online goes to Ryuji Murray.